I went through the old school apprenticeship. I hope we get to talk more about that too, though.
Let's talk about it.
Yeah, let's talk about it. Okay, so
I went through an old school apprenticeship too.
Yeah, I scrubbed tubes. Yeah. I
soldered needles.
I traced. I didn't really get to the soldered needles, but I scrubbed tubes.
Well, you're 11 years ago. You're right at the moment where you didn't have to do that anymore.
Exactly. Yes. So I know what an autoclave is. Yeah. I know what a ultrasonic cleaner is. I know what sweeping up the shop, mopping the shop.
You know how to tune a coil machine.
Tune a coil machine. I know how to build a coil machine. I know the ins and outs of the coil machine, and I miss it. I really do, but I gotta evolve with the industry.
Shit's about to go down. I'm feeling something in my spirit.
Chats and Tatts with Aaron Della Vedova.
Hello, friends, and welcome back to Chats and Tatts with me, your host, Aaron Della Vedova. I love so many things about tattooing. It's an art form with a deep history in various cultures, Obviously, it's went through a renaissance, and it's kind of I don't know what to call it anymore. It's a world's art form, and all these different cultures are fusing together in very interesting ways to create this new thing, whatever you want to call that. But back not in the too far distant past, where you got tattooed physically was probably the style of tattoo you received. If you lived in the Samoan Islands, you got that kind of tattoo. If you were in Africa, that's the kind of tattoo you wore on your body. If you were in Japan, obviously, you wore that. Japanese tattoos, they have their entire own genre and look to them. And they're all beautiful and perfect and just gloriously exemplify how transformational and how important tattooing is to culture. And this episode really highlights that. And I'm really honored to have my guest here today because he's a specialist in a very specific genre of tattooing, Polynesian tattooing. He is a tattooer of 11 years. He lives in Eva. Did I do it right, buddy?
Eva Beach.
Sure
did, man.
Which is in Oahu, Hawaii. I know I'm fucking that up. Bear with me. And he's going to teach us and tell us a little bit about his journey into tattooing and a little bit about Polynesian tattooing and what it means to the people of his area. So with all that being said, please welcome my guest today, Leland Gomez.
Good morning, man.
I forgot to add one other layer. It's not that you just do Polynesian tattooing. You said with your own words, contemporary Polynesian. So yes. You're taking what the masters before you already developed. You're adding your own flair, different movement to it, twists and turns that they didn't traditionally do. Which the idea there is like some people might maybe be like, you're disrespecting a tradition, right?
Exactly.
But we both talked, and I was like, wouldn't the creators and artists from 100 years ago, because I don't think artists' minds change that much, and I know artists are usually about progress and evolution. So my expectation is if those dudes were still alive, they'd probably be honored that you're taking the art form and progressing it forward.
Yeah, of course. It wasn't an easy task.
Did you get a lot of flack?
I did. I honestly
still do?
did. I wouldn't say now. I figure I've earned the work I do now. So meaning like I did get a lot of backlash from the OGs, but in some sort of way I did still respect tradition, because without tradition, without the history of where everything came from, I wouldn't be who I am today.
Right.
And that's just plain and simple. As long as I've respected the culture, I haven't done anything disrespectful, but just evolving it into what we do now. And exactly what you're saying, the new generation, the new day and age, I think that's where this new contemporary Polynesian is going. Mm-hmm. And I figured, I'd be a part of that journey. So,
Well, your work's outstanding. I know you've won multiple awards. It's not just that you do that. There's people that do that. Not a lot. It's a small niche in tattooing comparatively, but definitely looking at your portfolio. One of the reasons I could have a different Polynesian, but your stuff is impeccable.
Thank you.
Super good work.
I appreciate that.
It's beautiful. It's obvious you you put a lot of work. You aren't lazy. I can see it. I can see it. Big work too.
Yeah.
I mean, hell, you're down here at the convention today doing a 3-day session on a guy. 10 hours a day. You said you'll be tattooing until midnight.
I'm over it,
tonight.
man. I'm over it. I really am. This convention scene is. I haven't been around the convention for since 5 years, and it's different. I'm not saying I'm popular, but I do have a lot of connections and networking, so it just makes the environment harder to work in for me, especially.
Just people coming up.
Yeah, I mean, nothing's wrong with that, but it's just like
you're trying to do.
We wanna vibe with my client, but then I got homies. Yo, what's up, dog? What's up, homie?
Yeah.
I haven't seen you for 5 years, and I'm like, yeah, I haven't seen you for 5 years, so it's like I'm coming back into it, and I really enjoy the convention scene, but I'd rather I like doing things one-on-one.
It makes total sense. I mean, imagine a master painter sitting there with people talking to him the whole time while he was creating that. That's not how it works. Well, how it works is you put on music and you quiet your mind and you 100% focus on the craft at hand, the job at hand, and you can still get it done. You're going to get it done, but it's exhausting when you have to try to use your social mind and your creative mind simultaneously for 3 days.
Yes, and I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm a sociable guy. I mean, I can get along with anybody, but when it's time to work, it's time to work.
Yeah.
And I think that's what the convention circuit is turning to, networking, just building those relationships. Nothing's wrong with that, but we still got a job to do. We're still getting paid at the end of the session, so sometimes it's not fair to the clients, but I love it, man. I love the scenery. I love it.
It's got to put on headphones, dude.
That's what it is. Yeah, that's what I do
at conventions.
Yeah,
I don't really like them at my shops because it's like I feel like you need to be with people. Your client. But at a convention, when my artists put on the headphones, I get it.
It's awesome you brought that up though, about like not doing that in the shops. That's what I wanted to build as environment for my shop. I didn't want to because I came from a shop where we had our own booths, and then we're all just there. But I like vibing, like just like here, I want a tattoo next to you. Hey, how's your day going? Hey, the other day, like, hey, Broncos suck, or like, any of that, We're just talking shit the whole day, so that's cool. I like that type of stuff, but the environment of the convention is a little bit different. Yeah, guys walking in and out. Hey, my headphones is on. Oh shit, I got to press pause. What was that, bro? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like so.
Well, maybe we're getting ahead of ourselves here. I'm a little curious with every artist I meet, really. To be an artist is to, I don't know, like take a pretty big risk. There's never this clear path when you're a young man. Oh, do this and you'll have this in life and you'll have kids and you'll be able to buy a house where, there's more guaranteed paths. Your friends are going off to college or they're learning a trade that's a guaranteed pathway to support themselves. But I think folks like us, especially tattooers, we're taking this like leap of faith, and I like that story. So let's hear a bit about that. Your childhood or, at what point do you start identifying as an artist and at what point and for what reason do you decide to take that leap of faith into something that's so uncertain?
Good question. I guess you could say I was born and raised around the environment of athleticism. So it did play a big part in my everyday life now. Building structure in my life. So my dad, he was on to me for all my sports, like soccer, football. He was like my everything. Like if I didn't do good, he wouldn't tell me on the field. We'll get back in the car and he'd be like, yo, you got to do this. What the hell was that today? Right. So I always had that eye over my shoulder, which is like tattooing, So back like 10 years ago, I went to college. I did the whole college thing, but it wasn't for me. But I was a drawer in high school. That's where art began for me. I would draw all over all my work, all over all my ask any teacher, they hated it. They were like, what the hell is this? What the hell is, but I got teachers today that support me in what I do now. But it came down to my parents. They bought me a tattoo kit when I was in college. And
right on, parents.
They were the ones that kind of started all this for me. So, thanks mom and dad for all that. But anyways, it started from there. I started tattooing all the homies in the hood, all the guys back at home. Then it just evolved into something bigger. I was like, I could really do this for a living. So I quit my job. I was a ramp. I worked on the ramp at Hawaiian Airlines back in Hawaii, and I quit my job. I ended up getting myself into a shop like down the road from my house. One of my good friends, his dad owned the shop, and he's like, yo, he just gave me an opportunity, and I took it, and then from then on, I never looked back, man. Yeah, I never did. Yeah,
That's cool.
yeah.
That's
But
cool.
back then, like, I went through the old school apprenticeship. I hope we get to talk more about that too, though.
Let's talk about
Yeah,
it.
let's talk about it. Okay, so
I went through an old school apprenticeship too.
Yeah, I mean, I scrubbed tubes. I
Soldered needles?
I traced. I didn't really get to the soldered needles, but I scrubbed tubes.
Well, you're 11
I
years ago. You're
traced.
right at the moment where you didn't have to do that anymore.
Exactly. Yes. So I know what an autoclave is. I know what a ultrasonic cleaner is. I know what sweeping up the shop, mopping the shop.
You know how to tune a coil machine.
Tune a coil machine. I know how to build a coil machine. I know the ins and outs of the coil machine, and I miss it. I really do. But I gotta evolve with the industry, and that's where it's leading to now. But as far as that, yeah, I'm really fortunate to have been a part of that transition.
You caught the old school at the tail end.
Yeah, I
before
did.
it was gone.
I did.
Because it's gone now.
Yeah. So
I shouldn't say it's gone now. It exists out there.
It
but
does.
90% of tattooers that are coming in right now may never touch a coil machine.
May never. I don't think
See
they
an
ever will.
autoclave.
I don't think they ever will. Yeah.
Unless they go work at some old school shop with
Yeah,
an old school. But they're out
yeah.
there, but that's rare. That's
Yeah,
rare.
it's really rare. So I know exactly what you mean. And as far as all that, I'm really humbled that I got to experience that, because it really made me who I am today. And I really tried to put that like on the younger guys that I tried to help. But I mean, the generations evolved, the industry transformed, and I was like, man, I can't give them that old school way, because I don't use coils no more. I didn't use it anymore. Everything was cartridge to rotaries. So with teaching that, I didn't know how to teach that. But I just kind of
Funny enough, the rotary is the older machine.
Yeah, actually.
Yeah, it's funny when I get an
Yeah.
old school dude who's like, doesn't. I'm like, dude, this is older than your coil machine. Or maybe there's a debate there, but they were old. They used rotary motors to make tattoo machines, and then the coil took over, and then when the rotaries came back in a more advanced form, it was all this hate, this hate from people.
Big time.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I went through all that too, and the iPad. We use an iPad now. Everyone uses iPads.
Yeah, exactly.
You use coils and
I had a
cartridges.
trace box when I first apprenticed.
Yeah.
And I used to carry that trace box around all over the place. If I forget it before coming, I gotta go home and grab it. That's how my mentor, he was like that. Trace every traditional flash, and that's what helped me. Traditional flash, because them long, strong lines. That's where I got my my discipline with my Polynesian lines now, my symmetrical stuff now. So.
Well, here we are then, Polynesian tattooing. I want to know more about. I'm actually asked. I don't fully grasp it. I know it's an old tradition, but I see the triangles and the lines and the cuts, and I have heard that they, like the little triangles, those are shark teeth, and this is this, and they're not just random shapes. But I don't need you to get down to litany of what each symbol represents.
Right.
But I want to hear from you. What is Polynesian tattooing? What does it represent to Polynesian people?
So Polynesian tattooing, it's pretty much who we are as people. It's what represents us as our culture. So back then, let's go like history wise, we didn't have much. We only had the land, and we had the sea. So where we got our motifs from and our patterns is our surroundings. Coming down from the water, the ocean, sea turtles a lot, shark teeth, we're voyagers. Polynesians were voyagers. Also coming down to land work, we built our own our canoes. We built our own canoes with our own bare hands, so that's where our patterns came from. So some sort of way, like shark teeth. Yeah, we had shark teeth, so that's where the symbols of shark teeth came from. As far as the Lauhala mat, we just put it on to skin after that. So
that's a weaved palm frond.
Yes. So a lot of the patterns did come from our surroundings. So that's what represented our people back then. Yeah, and that's what we do today. We don't really do too much traditional stuff. regarding like building canoes with our bare hands. We do fish and all that, but that's where we evolve. I'm trying to evolve the new contemporary Polynesian to where it's leading to. Yeah.
Does a Polynesian tattoo, correct me if I'm wrong, does it identify a family's name, some of them? Or
Yes,
this is
it
the
does.
pattern for this
Yes.
family, this is the pattern for that family?
I would love to tell you more about that, but I wasn't raised around the traditional style. And we do have those OGs that can give you a little brief more history about it, like Keone Nunez, the Suluapes. They really revived our culture. They do the tapping, the tatau. So they're the ones that kind of revived the Polynesian today, which is what began the contemporary style. Yeah, because it did die out for a bit. We did lose our culture, we did lose our patterns, we did lose our ways. I want to say maybe like the 1900s, and then like a little bit towards the ending of the 1900s, that's when it started to revive. So we do have like I don't know, like a couple years ago, I don't know if you ever heard of the Marks of Polynesia. A lot of guys from the California era they did revive. They threw like a big ceremony, and if you ever get the chance, man, you should pick up the books. It's called Marks of Polynesia. It does. It's a really good book. It talks about our people, where we came from, who we are, and it does have some patterns in there, because we don't want to show them all our patterns. It's kind of sacred, Can't give them the whole playbook,
Well, it's interesting too, because there's a difference between Japanese tattooing, and not just in style, but in Japan, to be tattooed was to be not part. That was an underground. Maybe you were a criminal. You were identified as someone outside of society. But in the Polynesian culture, to be tattooed was the chief of the tribe could have it. It wasn't. You weren't shunned for being tattooed. And most people, I think, got tattoos. It's such a different thing, right? It was you got tattooed to be a part of your culture.
Part of it.
Yeah.
You're like initiated into, a chief. Yeah.
You got that going for you, because there's so many cultures. To be tattooed meant leaving your tribe.
Yeah.
Oh, look at that scumbag over there getting tattoos. But a Polynesian guy got embraced by his people.
Yes. It showed us. It's like bringing out. We get to wear our. We get to wear our inside out when we wear our Polynesian culture on our skin.
Yeah.
That's just who we are. Yeah.
That's cool, man. Very cool. So on this idea around the evolution, your evolution of Polynesian tattooing, I think that's amazing. I think all art should evolve, or will evolve, whether people like it or not. And it's plenty of room there for somebody who wants to, keep alive the core tradition. Eat both are fine, right? But on that note of evolution, evolution, right? The tattoo world is evolving. We're going beyond Polynesian tattooing right now.
Every day.
So I'm just curious. I always like to talk to tattooers about that. Like, how do you see the present state of tattooing? And maybe you could try to visualize what it might look like in 10 years from now. Well, let's start with present.
Present, yes. So I would say... Are you talking about like
just the whole industry and how many people are tattooing, how many people are getting tattooed, what that means for the everyday
I think the
artist?
industry has just blown the fuck up, man. Like, it's crazy. It's hard to find somebody who doesn't have a tattoo nowadays, right?
Oh, yeah.
But like with the Polynesian side of it, I really don't know where it's gonna end up in 10 years. I don't really know where style wise it could go, because it can go in many directions. A lot of the new artists now, they like to use a lot of geometrical stuff with the Polynesian stuff, and it does vibe and it works. I think the new a lot of like they do the ornamental stuff. I'm sorry. It has the same vibe as Polynesian, and then when you mix it, it's exactly how we are today, which is why I name my shop Cultural Connections, because you see a lot of mixed people now, So mixing like ornamental with Polynesian, I think that's gonna be like the next big thing. And then just taking styles from each other, you know, like from Polynesian to ornamental. You know, we take like a little piece of your ornamental stuff, then I can just flip it into something where our traditional patterns can add a little, you know, new stuff to that stuff, which is great, I think, because the industry is going that way. It's got to evolve. You know, it's just like if you're comfortable in one thing, you know, like how are you gonna get better, right? How is anything gonna get better if you stay in the same place? So.
Well, I mean, you said a lot there that I want to comment on. Like, it is, and you know, when I became a tattooer 30 years ago, you know, Leo Zualeta was doing tribal, whatever, just a general term.
Right.
And these symbols didn't represent anything culturally. They were just they were black, they were spiky, they were flowy, and they were cool. And then, of course, that Dusk Till Dawn movie, a guy gets it. Actor, who was the actor? I can't remember. Dusk Till Dawn, Quentin Tarantino's movie. That guy gets that sleeve of tribal and it goes on his shoulder and up his neck. And
the all black tribal,
all black from
all
here.
black,
And then we got, of course, requests for that over and over and all this. Because, you know, to be honest, as an illustration-based tattooer, we always kind of looked down on it because we were like, oh, we can draw illustrations of real things. Tribal tattooing is stupid. It's lame. And when people wanted it, it was like, yeah, we'll do it to make some money today, but whatever. And then as time went on for me, starting to do a little homework and studying the source of all this tribal cultural tattooing, Polynesian style, Samoan style, styles out of Africa and different places, it became apparent to me like, oh, you know, that's legit. Like that should be honored and it's cool. But this is, again, along 25 years ago, it's still not popular in the West.
It's not.
Nobody's asking for Polynesian tattoos.
Yeah.
You know, or they're asking for maybe some tribal that they don't even know what it means.
What it means, yeah.
What they saw it on a movie. And then really the renaissance of illustration tattoos takes over. Like
big time.
You know, Carlos Torres, who will be on the show later today.
Yep.
You know, just the Chicano tattooing and then just the new school dudes. And it's all pictures, really. I mean, except for the guys that are doing lettering, but it's pictures of things: skulls, girls, flames, fire, demons, angels, and that's still happening and thriving today. But lately, especially the last 5 years, there's this renaissance of ornamental tattooing, which Polynesian is an ornamental tattoo. There's no pictures of things and roses and things. It's ornamental.
Yes.
But ornamental is having a massive comeback.
They are.
And it's
crazy.
And here I am 30 years later having to flip my stance on it because it looks fucking dope.
It looks
and
dope.
It's beautiful.
It is.
And minimalist. I got a girl that works for me. Her name's Chris. And she'll do a back piece where it's just huge swirling black shapes, mostly skin.
Yeah.
So a lot of the women that she does it on, it's mostly skin. It's so elegant and so pretty and so simple.
Simple. That's what it is.
But I'm really enjoying that. And you see it becoming more popular. And I think about that. And I think, well, one, I think people don't want their dad's tattoo. You know, the new kids, dad might have the bitch in his bodysuit by Carlos Torres, but the kid, he wants to do something different than his pops. So he's going to do, instead of complex, he's going to go simple ornamental, right? Plus, I think there's a cultural need as the world evolves and technology just rams forward into our existence, that there is this calling to humanity for certain people to go back to the roots. Like we're starting to be like, dude, I want to learn more about history, analog living, when we didn't have iPhones. And so you see this reemergence, which to me is sort of hopeful, because when I see AI and all this stuff coming into our world
every day now,
I feel like, is it all going to be lost? Is anyone going to give a shit about the old ways of doing things?
No,
but based on what this reemergence of this type of tattooing, I can see it growing. And I think you're right. I think ornamental and tribal, and even people, I could see people being like, it's cool now to get hand poke tattoos and in a hut somewhere versus I see a reemergence of that. So I think for you're in the right place at the right time. You know,
I am. I'm still learning that every day. And there is a guy back home. His name's Tattoo Rich. He's a big. I'm a big fan of his work. We have a great friendship. But he's taking that ornamental Polynesian, and he's creating something great. And if you ever get the chance, go ahead and check out his work. But he's killing it with that, and that's why I brought that up, because I feel the industry, a part of Polynesian, is going in towards that direction, because it's all together, like you said, Polynesian is ornamental, and it complements each other. So
yeah, they're one movement, Yeah, I don't see that going. It just, again, I just hope it keeps growing, because
I'm sure it will. It will.
I don't want every tattooer in 10 years to be taking things off of their AI, iPad generator and tattooing it, which is fine. I mean, if you create something with AI and it's beautiful and it's cool, and you can make it look on skin like it looks there, and that's your gig, that's cool. But with that moving so fast and hard, it's good to see the old ways are still popular and getting more popular.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that's fucking cool.
Yeah, I respect the old ways so much, man.
Right on, my man. Right on. Well, I want to say thank you for coming up here with me today. Maybe a quick what's next for you? You got anything on the horizon that you're excited about, or just rinse and repeat?
I would say I have a new passion for coaching, man. Outside of tattooing, because I work so much.
You mean sports coaching?
Sports coaching.
Okay.
Yeah, I kind of fell in love with it.
Well, you grew up being coached.
Exactly. But I think tattooing did play a big role in the coaching, being disciplined with myself, and just being a leader to these youth. And that's where I had to be, being a leader, doing the contemporary Polynesian. When I first started doing the Polynesian, I didn't know where it was leading to, I took the leap of faith and be like, does it look good with this? Am I doing something wrong? Of course, somebody's gonna have something to say, but when I started doing it and I continuously did it, it grew into something greater, because my clientele went from 10 to 100, went from 100 to 1,000, and that's where I'm at today. But it's just creating your own path, and that's where I'm leading with coaching. If I could create my own path, my own follow, and then change lives, that's my new passion. I'm really into that right now.
Coaching, teaching, I find it's the last step in learning, right? Because if you can learn a skill, that's the first step, and master a skill, that's the second step. But the third step is, can you articulate how you did that to somebody else so they can do it? And that act of articulating it, figuring out what words to use that someone can understand, so that you can help them get there.
Help them, yes.
In figuring out those words, this is what happens to me. I end up unwinding and figuring out myself, like, why do I tattoo this way? I just do it. I don't think about it. Yeah. Then I got a young apprentice who says, why are you doing that? And I stop and I'm like, I don't fucking know why I'm doing it. I just how I've always done it, and it works.
No, really, yeah.
But then I'm like, how do I better figure out how I do it, because I've got to teach this person.
Yes.
So then I'm unwinding my own work. I'm like, oh, I'm leaning this way. I'm tilting. I'm using a 15 rounded mag instead of a flat mag. Why did I choose that? So teaching is sort of that last part of a master's journey. Yeah. And it's also the part where you give back.
Yes.
To something that's given you so much.
Yes.
That's
It's
cool.
funny how you say give back, because that's exactly what I want to do, because I don't plan a tattoo for the next 50 years of my life. I wish I could, but in some sort of way, if I could give some of my vibe back to the younger guys, they can still carry on what I started,
Absolutely.
and that would be super great to see. Like, maybe my grandkids can see it, be like, hey man, my papa did that, he started that, he started that pattern,
And
or
now I'm
that
tattooing it.
Yeah, and now he's tattooing it. So I think it'll be great for the youth, and then just the younger generations just learn more. So like I said, coaching, just teaching as well. I got to really know how to break it down. That's what I'm trying to do. Break it down for the younger guys and the youth as well. So.
Well, good luck with that. That
Thank
sounds
you.
awesome. If
Thank
that's what's evolving for you next, I honor that. I respect that. And it also, I think that is that's your next step. That's all of our next steps. If you really get a handle on a craft and you become a master of that craft, I mean, the next step is to help somebody else learn it.
Yes. And
So,
I believe in that 100%.
well,
yes.
I bless you on that, man. I hope it goes well. I know it will.
Thank you.
Where can people find you?
I'm in Waipahu, Hawaii. Ewa Beach, kind of, it's like the same city, but I'm in Oahu. My shop's Cultural Connections. I hardly travel now. It's kind of cool you caught me on this trip, It's like a Need
So if
on
you
the
want a
ASAC.
tattoo from
Yeah.
Leland, you're going to Hawaii to get
Come
it.
to Hawaii, man. I really don't want to travel. I mean, the only guy I'll travel for is Tua, Tattoo Tua. The Miami quarterback, he's the only cool cat. He flies me out there. So that's the only guy I'll go out there for, man. So
That's cool.
yeah, it's super cool. But these conventions, it's a hit or miss. If I want to go, I'll go. But I haven't been to one in a long time. So it's kind of cool you caught me on this one.
Awesome. No,
Yeah.
it's very cool I caught you. That's why I came up here, because I'm going to get a few people that I'm not going to be able to get
Yeah.
when I go back to San Diego.
For sure.
So I'm glad I caught you too.
Thank
I
you,
wish
man.
you the best. We're going to come down and visit you today. You're working for 3 days on this massive project. We'll stop by. I am going to bug you while you're tattooing. I'm just going to warn you
Do
right
it, man.
now.
Do it because, everybody else does it. Do it, man. Yeah.
Well, we'll
So,
come say hi to you down there later today, but I want to say thank you again for coming up and
Thank
give
you,
me some of
guys.
your
Appreciate
precious
you guys.
time.
Yep.
And I wish you the best on this tattoo wild
Appreciate it.
journey you're on, man.
Thanks, man.
All
Appreciate
right.
you. Yep.
Peace out, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you on the next one.
Thanks, guys. That was great, man.
That was
Chats and Tats with Aaron Della Vedova.